Thank you very much, Hot Sauce, for having me. I used to go to geek dinners in London, but this is completely different. I'm afraid there's not much technology in this, in the terms of, I haven't got loads of code or databases to talk about, but just beautiful intelligence, which I think that's why we're here. So who am I? Now, I just wanted to do a quick introduction as to who am I. If you don't know, that's me. My name's Finola Gaynor. I went to university here, which is here in case you don't know. It's just there, that far away from Norwich. So after I left there, whilst I was there, I worked at the newsletter, Wilkinson's and Zanzibar. And the reason why I worked there as a student was to pay for my childcare. And these are my two lovely children. The one in the middle just graduated from the RCA, Design Interactions, and my son just graduated, and he's a fashion designer. I used to work for Fiat Technologies. I used to work for Switch Business, which was mainly an architecture design company. I did all the branding design for the Birmingham Royal Ballet. I did all the Birmingham airport stuff, the airport stuff, not the parking. I did all the Bifford design stuff, which was fantastic because it was a total waste management system. They did basically collect rubbish, but they let me put a ligature in. And if you don't know what a ligature is, I don't know how this works, but it's the two Fs, FF, FI, FL. So that's my geeky nature. And it looks better on the bin, I think. I used to do all the design work for Jaguar, Pirelli, the advertising, not the calendars, unfortunately. I also did this, and this, and this, and this. And for that, I am truly sorry. I used to do all the design work for JCB and for Mr. Fujitsu. I was then head of design at the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, head of design for the NHS. I then started teaching at Coventry University part-time, loved it. Taught here, head of design here, and then head of design in Nottingham. And now I'm in Norwich, and I haven't got a job. So, 5 rings and a designer walk into a Mexican bar. Now, I'm not allowed to show you the rings because it's against the design guidelines of the London Olympics. We're not allowed to use the words 2012 either, just in case you didn't know. So, today I'm going to talk about Lance, and I wanted to talk about some argy-bargy, really, to do with branding, design and digital, but Lance was a bit uncomfortable about it, and what Lance says, Lance goes. So what I'm going to do is show you the beauty and the prolific work that Lance Wyman did in Mexico in 1968. So who is Lance Wyman? This is Lance. He's absolutely obsessed with football and fell in love with the Sheriff of Norwich. They talked for 2 hours at the private view about football. There was nothing about the work. And so I took him shopping and he bought these lovely, I believe they're called canaries, the Norwich Canaries. And that little one is for his granddaughter. That's him at his studio, so he was quite keen to put them on, I guess. Lance started working in Detroit. He did a degree in Pratt Institute in design engineering, but decided actually I want to be a graphic designer, having talked to Paul Rand's students. And so he started off working for the car industry, designing packaging. He then worked for George Nelson, and you can see there's a theme here of simplicity and, again, cars, I guess. Like me, I love cars, Jaguar, JCB, that kind of thing. So he designed this beautiful system at the New York Fair, at the Chrysler Fair, which is a system to encourage children to get with motors, which I don't think would happen nowadays. But maybe e-mobility it would, who knows. So this is the kind of design work that he did. So he got the dream job. Hey, Mexico! And so I'm hoping this will work because it's so beautiful. Please work.
Just take my hand and come along with me. There is so little time to spare. There is a place I'd give the world to see, where the music's softly playing and the rhythm's gently swaying. Underneath the stars, in a million bars, guitars are softly saying, Mexico, Mexico. Take it from me, yeah, you're gonna
It is available on YouTube, but I just wanted you to get a feel of actually what was happening in Mexico at the time from a government point of view. So this is how it all started. This is a compass drawing of the 68 logo, and that's where it started. Oh, there we go. Oh, we're going backwards there. And this is based on a huichol design, which is the original Hispanic people of Mexico, this is another huichol wool painting. He was heavily influenced by Bridget Riley, who had an exhibition at MoMA in 1961 through. And so there we go, we've got Mexico 68. Now, can I just remind people that Macs weren't invented in 1968. And for someone to draw this so beautifully out of his hand, I just think is phenomenal. He has since, he's 75, but he has since vectorized everything, absolutely everything. So beautiful. So this is the typeface again, can I say, was hand-drawn. From that, he built up all the typefaces that he had to do for that. This is his only photo, sadly, of it on the wall. And you can see the hand-drawn, can you make out the hand-drawn lines? So I'm just going to quickly go through, really. So these are the people behind the Olympics, or some of them. That's the senior management. And so you can see how the logo is applied all over there. These balloons are really significant because they form the signage design. And so there's Lance in his heyday in 1968. And there he is in colour. Great. So you can see how he started to move on with the design work. This is an exhibition in Milan where they were trying to get across how the design would work, where it was accepted. Again, influences of Bridget Riley. This is actual building that they created to show what it would look like, which for me would give me motion sickness if anyone's ever been to the Lowry in Manchester, or Salford actually. And this is what it looked like. This is actually a three-dimensional drawing of what the space looked like. So that would be a walkthrough, and you can see, I don't know which one's the light button, but you can see that there's shelves there. So on the video, you saw that the radiated lines, that, as we said, came from the Hispanic culture, then got put into the stadium, which just looks so beautiful. Can I just remind you, this is 1968. And this is them applying it, the workers. So there was this kind of really important bit about the modernity of Mexico as well as the historic Hispanic background. This is a sculpture which was interlinked as part of the cultural development. And again, you can see 68 on the floor, which is just stunning. Architects in Warsaw used it when they did the Warsaw Art Gallery. And the reason why they used it was to push the dirt out of the gallery, the dirt of Warsaw out of the gallery. So I thought that was a really interesting approach. You can see how everything was built out of this Mexico 68 from the stands for the senior advisors at the Olympics, how they built it. This is I don't know. I'm not good with feet and inches, so I guess that was about 6 metres, was it? 7 metres? I don't know. And then it was applied all around the stadiums, and on cars. Now, you won't believe this, but this was the delivery cars for Olympic delegates coming from the airport. And this is the wayfinding system, which is amazing, because it's people, like Narnia at the front door, you're just guiding your way through, wearing the Mexico dresses, and bikinis. What else would you want? And sombreros. These are the balloons that I talked about before, which became the signage system. So if they were in the air, you knew which stadium to go to as they were colour-coded. You can see in that top, I guess it's my left this way. So you can see at the top, that's how you would get to the stadium. So these balloons were massive, and we've got one on its way coming over from Mexico, because we're doing a joint show with the Tate. So you can see these balloons were used prolifically, and the signage systems. Aren't they beautiful? Oh, could just eat them. This was the revolutionary pictograms. In America, they call them icons. In this country, we call them pictograms, which we see every day. Tim Henley's used them for the Visible Bristol project and the Visible London, which is just phenomenal. And I think if you look at the top, my right, coming here, the oars, It took Lance 3 weeks to design that because he couldn't get the visual aspects of it right. Now this was done before iPhones. Can you imagine this on an iPhone? It would work beautifully. But the oars go back and it gets smaller, which sound obvious once you say it. But to design it was a big, huge problem-solving exercise. And this is Lance taking a photograph of his work. I love him. And this is in context, so where it was screen printed. So it just works so beautifully. So you can see it in the sailing. More icons, so it was decided that because Mexicans couldn't speak English, they weren't as clever as the rest of us. And so what they would do is design icons or pictograms to show them where to get the water from, lost property, and so on and so forth, which is used every day. And you can see this in situ here. So he designed leaflets. He designed 38 of these, and total 154 brochures. This is just a few of them to show you. These are posters. These are stamps. The stamps are stunning. So they were designed to work laterally in silhouette. So they're so beautiful. This has been noted as the best stamps ever designed in the world. Can I just remind you, this was 1968. This target, I just think, is the most exquisite thing I've ever seen on a piece of graphic design. I just don't think it can be beaten. So he designed the cultural symbols, and one of them, I'm just trying to keep to time, I know I've gone quite quickly, is the dove at the top. And as I said, everything was based on the Huichol tribe, which is from original carving. So if I go back, he's taken all the icons or pictograms and created this original drawing. And the reason being was the government were killing their own people during 1968 because the government wanted to project to the rest of the world that Mexico was a modern city that cared about people. So it was important for Lance to do this with the dove and Beatrice Trueblood. And you can see he integrated it. There's lots of work that you can see in the exhibition where he's used the dove. And you can see it's been put in all the stadiums, on the streets. And it was important to put on the streets because it was so poor as the delegates drove in from the airport that they gave people paint. And in the Hispanic countries, it was traditional to paint walls brightly coloured so that it felt cheerful. So what the organisers did of the Olympics was gave people paint. They were sponsored by ICI, I believe. And what they were asked to do was paint their walls so that as people drove through, they had these beautiful colours, which didn't cost a lot of money as they drove through the city. So you can see this is the commercial side of it. And they would integrate them into everyday advertising in Mexico to get people on board to what was happening with the Olympics. And jewellery, of course. Beatrice Trueblood did this as part of the student protesters 14 days before the Olympics opened. It was reported that 25 students were killed because they were angry about the government and their education. It's since been reported that it was unknown how many people died and that they estimate about 1,500 women and children were murdered by not only the Mexican government but the American government to stop them protesting. As part of this, and it's important that I bring this up, and I don't want to make everyone sad, but last Tuesday, the man over there who got the bronze medal came to visit us in Norwich. He came over to look at the exhibition. And it's quite important because this was called the Black Salute. And it actually wasn't about the Black Salute. It just happened to be, these were two black athletes standing up for human rights. And they believe 100% this was about human rights. The chap in the Peter Wallace, the guy from Australia at the front who's not black, wore a badge, if you can see the large badge here. He was ostracised by the Australian government. He was never, ever allowed to take part in sports ever again because he wore that badge. I don't know whether you know, but the reason why he's got his jacket undone is because he was supporting blue-collar workers. They had no shoes on when they stood up on the stand. As you can see, Tommy Smith in the middle has no shoes on, to stand up for people of poverty. And the black glove was because for black people's rights, for ethnic people's rights in Mexico, where they got murdered. All of these people were never allowed to take part in sports again. And in fact, John Carlos's wife committed suicide because of the pressure of what they did to him. So it was really important for him to come over to see the exhibition. And the reason being because Lance struggled for years working for the government when actually all these human rights were being exploited. And there was a time in 1986 where John gave him his first book and said, do you know, it was really important. And there's this old statue in Mexico called the OPEC statue. And John Carlos believes he got a vision from OPEC, from the Mexican gods, to come and do the Olympics, and so did Lance, but they didn't know that they both had the same vision. So it was a kind of beautiful, peaceful protest. And this is John, as he is today, speaking with NUCA students at the exhibition. He was absolutely inspiring. So happy days for Lance. He's back in Mexico. He's got a Mexico City exhibition happening and a new book. And hopefully we'll be working on a new project together. So this is me saying thanks, and there's no technology in it at all. Thank you very much.